Joel, Joel, chapter 2, verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai cometh, for it is nigh at hand. I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rekach Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, and safety to all the Akim out there pushing this truth throughout the four corners of the earth and to the sincere believers out there. This is the brother Habadia from the GMS Toronto camp coming back at you with another one. And this, I'm going to get into, the Nipah. And hold on, let me get the AI overview. So the Nipah virus, a deadly zoonotic virus that causes severe disease in both humans and animals. It is currently a major focus of the international health organizations due to a 2026 outbreak in India. Current outbreaks early 2026. As of late January and early February 2026, confirmed Nipah cases have been reported in the state of West Bengal, India. So, response: airports in Thailand and Nepal have instituted health screening for travelers arriving from affected regions. Let's go down to the key facts of transmission. Spread primarily from fruit bats, flying foxes to humans, or via intermediate hosts like pigs. That's the thing. That's why Jake, you can't be eating no swine. Them animals are just dirty. Point blank period. That's why the Lord put in his commandments not to eat that, not to eat that animal. Because that animal is the pig is, can spread disease. Not to say that other animals can't, but the pig is it's an abominable food to not be eating. It can also spread through contaminated foods like raw date, palm sap, or directly between people. Symptoms range from fever, headache, sore throat to severe encephalitis, brain swelling, and acute respiratory distress. Monetarily highly lethal, with case fatal rate estimated between 40 to 75%. Treatment: there are currently no licensed V's for specific antiviral treatments. So the Nipah, and this sounds a lot like what happened in 2020, because at the end, I know a lot of people are getting sick during the end of 2025, going into 2026. Same thing happened in 2019, because I know a lot of people who were getting sick in 2019 and going to 2020, and that's the same and what they did in 2020, they said the same thing with the CVID. They said it came from bats, and this started in Asia. and people were joking around, don't eat the Chinese food, and and it was a joke to a lot of people at that time, you know, and and now here we are, 2026, you know, damn near six years later, and you know, the NIV, you know, could this be, the second wave, if you want to call it that, and it's the same thing. People are getting sick, like I said, at the end of 2025, rolling into 2026. Now they're saying this one comes from India, comes from bats, transmitted, through animals and from into human. And, you know, in 2020, by the spring of 2020, things began to shut down, to lock down. And then by the fall, that's when they started coming out with the juice. And I remember this very well because um I had a job. I was working at one of the sports arenas down here in Toronto, Canada, and that's when all the sports shut down, you know. That's when all the sports shut down. So lost my job with that. And then, you know, I was waiting on the birth of my child. So, it was a very I remember that time. And he was born just before they started pushing before they started pushing that juice. He was born just before that, because I know people that um who had children after October, and the man wasn't allowed in the room. That's when they're heavily pushing the juice. So here we are in 2026, and this may be another one. you know and honestly, Lord willing, it is. Lord willing, it's another one, and they could, fast forward that agenda to the MOTB, and also the whole elect can get the hell out of here. You know. Let me read another precept, and then I get another article. This is Ezekiel 5:16, and I and I shall send upon them an evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you. And I will increase the famine upon you, and I will break your staff of bread. So will I send upon you a famine, and evil beasts, and they shall berave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yashai, have spoken. So the Lord told us these things are going to happen. Yahweh Bashim Yashai warned us that these pestilence were going to take place, especially leading up until the time of his return. And we know this is a way that Esau likes. Esau likes to do this to scare people, to control people. At this point, it's like we don't even really gotta say much, because the whole world has gone through this already. So this is nothing new. But this one now is at a high fatal rate. So going to our next article, the CVID era airport screening returns as experts scramble to contain the 75% fatal Nipah. So they're saying this one has a 75 percent fatal rate. So it is deadlier. So they say, than the CVID. So airports are gonna start going back to that old way of screening people. You know, businesses will begin to shut down. You will be now forced to get a new type of new type of hokey pokey. You know, Lord willing. You know, because right now this thing is only in India and parts of Asia. You know, health officials in airports across Asia have reintroduced the sea era restrictions in response to the fresh outbreak of a deadly V among these in India's West Bengal region, which have reported 5 cases of the Nipah V, a disease transmitted by bats and pigs that can also infect humans. So, this is just the beginning. This is still at its earlier stage, but we've seen what these things can turn into. You know, we've seen what happened in 2020. And this is the way Esau is going to be able to control, his population, control and scaring people, bringing forth his digital IDs, the MOTB, everything. Who knows? This could even be a what's the word? Um, this could even be an effect from the CVID. There's another word I'm looking for. I can't remember. The words not come to me, but yeah, this could be an effect from the CVID. You know, Matthew 24:7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Side effect. That's the word I was looking for. Side effect. This could be a side effect from the first juk, from the first juice. Who knows? Who knows? Or it could be a totally new different thing. But nonetheless, we're gonna report it. I even asked my woman the other day. I'm like, have you heard about the new thing? She had no clue. I had to put her on game, you know, and show her while going because because it's not over. It's not over here in the West. It's not main news. But like I said, the same thing happened in 2020. It slowly became news. Then it broke out in the West, then all over the world, and then it was a national. It was a global thing. Everywhere was experiencing it, and what? And this go this if this is the second wave of this shit, I personally feel like it's gonna be harder this way around. You know, especially if the fatal rate is this serious. With the way the dollar is, the economy is, it's worse off now than it was then. So I feel like it'll take a greater toll on people to go through this now. You know, and then Esau could be even more strict now with the rules and laws. They might have to ramp it up. Because they're gonna point to this 75% fatal rate. You know, and not want to take any chances. But we know Esau, and that's why I want to get this last precept. Least Satan should get 2 Corinthians 2:11. Least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So we know we ain't ignorant. We know what this devil's capable of. And like I said, Lord willing, bring it on. You know, these things have to happen. Hurry up and bring on that chip. that our temptation, you know, and let's, get the ball rolling. And a lot. And then the thing is, a lot of people are proud. A lot of people even, people seem to have forgotten real quickly about how things were during that time period. Because people are very proud out there. You know, they think it's peace and safety. No, it says peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. So here it is. People are thinking it's all good, and then if we get hit with another one of these, then people are gonna, be frightened. People are gonna panic, especially if this one is far more worse than the first one. This first one, that one was a joke. That one was a big joke. But who knows? This one could be serious. You know, Lord will. We'll see how it happens. But I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the last video I make on this. And and I'm pretty sure you're going to see a lot of brothers continue to make videos on this matter and this subject. As more news breaks, you know, and you know, as more people find out. So that's gonna do it for this video. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, and peace, blessing, and safety to all the Akim, how they're pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Lord willing, this video was edifying. Until the next one, Shalom.